man, hopefully we get that. We get 50K that night, either it's fight of the night or knockout of the night.
Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now.
This whole splinter in the toe thing. Have you seen this?
Are you talking about the PFL?
PFL. Yeah. The fight gets stopped in like 15 seconds because the dude has
I saw that.
There's fighters that fight with like broken arms and wrists and fingers and hands, and this fight gets stopped with the splinter. Does it make any sense to you?
Man, well, first off, man, so I didn't actually watch the fight. I just watched the highlights.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had a splinter, I can't speak for how it feels like because I never had a splinter in a fight. I'm not sure. He said it was glass or something, right?
I guess.
So, I mean, if it's glass, it probably hurt. But, I mean, I didn't see it. I mean, I think it was kind of crazy how, it went down with the ref, Mark Goddard, and all that stuff happened. I mean, I'm not sure how I would have reacted in that situation. It's pretty crazy, man. It was like a freak accident or something. I don't know how glass got even in the cage. I mean, did they confirm it? Were they able to confirm that there's actually glass? Like, was it an actual splinter? Were they able to confirm it? Because I didn't hear anything afterwards.
Yeah, me either. I don't even know what's confirmed, to be honest with you, because a splinter means you have a piece of wood, right? Rather than glass, or is it just any object?
I mean, anything that's kind of stuck in between your inside of your skin type of thing. I mean, I bet that hurt. But I mean, I think he still wanted to fight or something like that. But I don't know. Mark Goddard said no, stop. He stopped it right there. So
but I guess he was following the rules. A fighter cannot call timeout themselves.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, in a fight, it just means that you're giving up pretty much. So
right. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, for sure. Let's jump into this matchup, man. Your UFC debut, March 23rd. How do you feel about being back in Vegas?
Man, it's it's crazy because I felt like I'm doing back-to-back training camps. I took about a month and a half off, and then my manager called me and said, "Hey, you have a fight coming up in April." All right, I took another week off, and then I hopped right back into training camp. So, I want to stay active this year, though. That's the whole goal. I feel good. I'm in my prime right now, and I want to get in there and get into the cage, and do my UFC debut.
Your opponent coming up, Jarno Errens. What do you think of him and the style that he has?
He's a great fighter. He's a Dutch kickboxer guy. He has good ground skills too, like a jiu-jitsu guy, judo guy. Yeah, he's a good kickboxer. He's going to present a really good challenge for me, and I'm excited to go out there and test my skills because I've been getting better, and I'm ready to test up. I think he's going to be a great first opponent for me.
Yeah, stylistically, it's a pretty exciting matchup, right? Like to have a guy like this step across from you in your debut.
Yeah, like a stand-up guy, a guy that likes to bang on the feet, throws lots with big power, and I feel like in those fights I excel, and it's gonna be a tailor-made match for me. And man, hopefully we get that. We get 50K that night, either it's fight of the night or knockout of the night. He has a very exciting style, and I do too. So, yeah, I'm definitely excited to go out there and test my skills against somebody like him.
His last 4 fights have gone to decisions. So if you're into watching film, you can really dive deep into how he moves, all the stuff, right? What did you get from some of his previous fights?
I don't want to say too much, but let's just say I've written a whole playbook on him. I have I do this for all my fights. It's obviously training for me is not only just physical, going there and getting into the gym and training. It's a lot mental. I'm doing my film study. I'm doing my work. I'm looking at every aspect of his game. I'm looking at aspects of my game, what he could do to beat me, what I could do to beat him. And I'm like I said, I write a playbook on all my opponents, not just him, all my opponents. And I want to make sure that I do everything in my power to be as prepared as I can for this fight. Like I said, not just physically in the gym, putting in the hard work, but putting the hard work in also mentally and visualization and, the game plan and all that stuff. So, yeah, definitely have done a lot of game planning with him. Like I said, I mean, in general, like I said, I just talked about it. He's a stand-up fighter. I expect this fight to be on the feet, but at the same time, this is MMA. I also expect it to go to the ground because, he's gone to the ground a lot, so he has good jiu-jitsu. He has submissions and stuff like that. So I've been training everything, man. And as far as this fight, it's all about the little details. The details are what's going to make the difference in this fight. Who can adjust better than the other person, So like I said, I'm excited. I've been training really, really hard this training camp, and I'm ready to go out there and do my UFC debut, prove it to the world, enjoy the process at the same time. I've been waiting for this moment, but you know, I'm locked in. I'm locked in, and we're less than 10 days out, and I'm just excited that we're here. Like 10 weeks ago, I'm like, oh gosh, I got 10 weeks of training camp, but now we're finally here. Like, I'm very excited. Gonna head out to Vegas here next week. Around this time, I'll be in Vegas next week, and I'm just excited to get this going, man. You know, this is my time.
Your appearances on the Contender Series, those could be really considered your debuts, right? Like, you're in the same venue. Only thing different is the gloves don't say UFC on them. So you've been through the process many times.
Yeah, basically, it's funny because I'm like fighting. It's like my UFC debut, and a lot of guys talk about like, what do you call it? UFC jitters and stuff like that. But I fought in that same in the Apex over 3 times already. You know what I'm saying? So I know the staff. I know like where I'm going to be warming up, things like that, how the octagon feels, things like that. So, you know, I'm gonna try my best not to let it get to me. And you never know, once you get in there, it might be different. But I've already fought in the Contenders 3 times, and I fought in that cage 3 times. I really expect to just go out there and just do what I've been doing, just exactly the same way as my last Contender fights, and feel the same way.
You've had, one of your fights was one of the best fights they've ever had on Contender Series. You know what I mean? That war. So I think people know what to expect.
Yeah, you know, and that's why I want to show to the world that like I'm an exciting fighter. I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna show that I've evolved as a fighter as well. And yeah, this is my coming out party, and you know, I'm excited to show the world what I'm all about.
You talked about the mental side, right? Is that something you do alone, or do you have someone that helps you with all of that?
No, I don't really have anybody that helps me with it. You know, obviously I surround myself with people who have a strong mental fortitude already, like my coaches, my teammates, things like that. But I basically what I do, I meditate every single night, man. And sometimes I meditate for like an hour or more. And I'm not just only thinking about the fight. Like I'm really just thinking about everything in my life and manifesting everything in my life that I want. That obviously in this fight, I'm very focused on this fight. So I've been thinking a lot about that, but just in general, my business, my life in general, my relationship. And when you manifest things like that at night and you meditate, you take that time to yourself and you do that, and without all the distractions, right? Because you know you're busy all day. I'm busy all day doing this, doing that. We don't have much time to just sit down and take our time to ourselves. So I make sure that I use that time every single night to myself to really meditate and manifest everything that I want in life, and go through everything, review everything, things I can work on, things I can't work on. What am I going to do? What is the next steps, right? Reviewing my game plan every night. Like, okay, remember, do you memorize your game plan? Things like that, you know, and visualizing myself in the octagon, visualizing myself getting my hand raised and everything. I mean, visualizing fight week when I land there. What am I going to do there? So, yeah.
In training camp, you know, I know you got a lot of things going on. You have your own business and everything. When do you kind of let go of that? Like, what week in your business, or are you just working straight on through everything?
No, you know, so like this week I'm not working much. I'm like training just a few clients. But the thing is, you have to remember for my job, I'm training people and fighting. So I sometimes like it's not like I have a desk job. Like I love what I do, and like sometimes it's like reinforcing what I'm learning anyway. So like when I'm teaching them how to throw a jab, I'm like, oh, okay, well I got to remember I'm pretty sure just training myself to how to throw a jab again. And you know, definitely not as big of a workload this week, and I'm not training anybody next week. I'm training like just a few clients this week, and it's good because I'm my own boss and I control my schedule. And I always like to tell people like my MMA schedule goes first, and then I train my clients kind of outside of that. And then yeah, so it's there's no stress in it at all. Sometimes like if I'm feeling up to it, like sometimes I'll just train with my clients just to get that extra work in. Like end up training 3-4 times a day, just training with my clients, getting a little bit of extra sharpening up my skills a little bit, you know? So I even feel like my job actually helps me in my fight game, helps me in my training camp, you know?
Do you ever catch yourself maybe teaching your clients things that you're working on just to see if like,
yeah, no, absolutely.
Else?
So I don't just train, you know, people to lose weight or whatever. I have amateur fighters under my belt, you know, guys that go out there and compete and just smoker fights or amateur fights, and they're pretty good. So like when I train, I'm like, hey, look, we're gonna spar today. You're gonna act like my opponent today. and they love that. They love that. They love that they want to help their coach out. It's a coach-student relationship. They're loyal, good students, you know, that I can depend on. And I'm like, hey, you're going to act like my opponent today. We're going to get this extra session and do this, do that, you know, and it helps me tremendously, but it helps them as well because when I'm able to see things, I point it out to them, and yeah, it's fun.
Nice. Now, the pros. Who are the pros helping you?
I mean, so I've been training with all the UFC guys at my gym, Fortis MMA. Lots of good kickboxers. We have a ton of good amateur kickboxers at my gym that no one really knows about, but they're very good high-level kickboxers. But yeah, I've been training with guys like Damon Jackson, Austin Lingo. Let's see, just like Asad Awad, Abdul Kareem Sawadi. Like, I mean, I can keep naming them on and on, but I've been training with all these guys that have been giving me really good looks and good pressure. And these guys, they don't stop, man. They, you know, I've been doing Shark Tank rounds, and I've been training really, really hard, man. Really, really hard.
Well, you know, of course, you know, you want to have an exciting fight, but outside of being exciting, what do you want to show in this one?
I just want to show my involvement, man. Like I don't want to show that I'm just one dimensional. I want to be able to show you guys that I can do everything. I can fight on the ground. I can kick. I can knee, elbow, clinch fight. You know, that I can fight everywhere. And you know, depending on where this fight goes, I'll show you guys that. You know, and that's really why I want to show people that I'm well rounded and I'm not a one dimensional fighter. You know, looking to take your head off, which I am. But you know, I have a lot of different facets to my game. You know,
you're starting your career with the UFC. Your opponent could be out the door in this fight, depending on the result. You know what I mean? There's two different aspects here, two different spectrums. What do you think of that narrative of this fight?
Yeah, you know, like obviously he's going into this fight with nothing to lose. This could be his last fight in the UFC. He's going to go out there and go hard, you know. And I knew that going into the fight, you know, like this guy, that was me, you know, and I know how that feels. So I've been in his shoes, so I know exactly what he's feeling. But at the end of the day, what's going to win the fight is skills, you know. And he wants it bad, obviously. And man, I'm telling you right now, I want it just as bad or more. To be honest, I have my own reasons why I'm doing this. I have my own pressure. I have my back's against the wall. To be honest, like I need to win this UFC debut. This is my first fight in the UFC. Why would y'all want to go out there and take the loss? Like I honestly feel like I'm in the same boat as him. But at the end of the day, like I said, skills is what's going to win this fight. And that's what I plan to do, you know, just use my skills to win the fight. And at the end of the day, I'm going to put all the emotions on the side. Oh, the scenario, he's in this position, I'm in this position, whatever. Put that to the side and let the skills do the talking and do what I do. I mean, my mindset already is killed or be killed. Like that's already my mindset. You know, I'm not going there, oh, I'm good. You know, I have a like, I'm going there and I'm ready to die if I have to. So,
did you see that fight, Mike Breeden versus Anshul Jubli, the Indian prospect? He's in the lightweight division.
I did see that.
And he lost the first two rounds. Basically, he lost the first two rounds, kind of, and then the third round or second round, he kicked it in gear, and he was on the way out. And even if he won that fight, he still got cut. But still, like that's a crazy turn of events to watch, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I said, in this sport, you have to give it yourself 100% all the way through, especially when you're in the UFC now. You can't just try to coast it or whatever every single round. And that's what we train for, you know, and that's what I've been training for. I've been doing 5-round sparring rounds, you know, and like going with fresh guys. And, you know, like you got to have the cardio to go all 3 rounds and you have the will to push all 3 rounds. And yeah, you know, like you can't kind of let off the gas tank a little bit, like especially with guys like the guy that I'm about to fight or what you just said, Mike Breeden versus the Indian guy. Like, you know, like you can't just, you gotta stay on it. And if you're winning, like continue to win and try to go for the finish. And that's what I am. You know, I also want to let people know, like, I want to go for the finish, like all 3 rounds. I'm going to look for the finish. I'm going to fight. I'm not going to go out there and just wail and go crazy and get knocked out. I want to fight smart, but I am a finisher, and I plan on doing that this fight.
How is the Vietnamese like media? Have you done some?
Yeah, there's some Vietnamese media that has reached out to me. So I did a couple of interviews in Vietnam, things like that, and I plan to I talked to you about this before, but I plan on going back to visit Vietnam after this fight for sure. I was planning on going back like a little earlier, but then I got the call up for this fight, so I'm like, you know what, even better. I'm gonna knock out this UFC debut, take a little time off, go back to my home country, visit Vietnam, and maybe spend a month there and train at Saigon Sports Club, and you know,
Oh,
meet a couple people down there that I've been talking to for such a long time that I haven't been able to meet, and yeah, just go back to my home country and just enjoy the food, enjoy my homeland again, man.
nice, man, nice. All the best in growing your status over there, and of course growing your status in the UFC. March 23rd, fight night in Las Vegas. Steven, thank you so much, man, for the time. All love, man.
No, man, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you hitting me up, and it's always a pleasure doing an interview with you. Appreciate it.